Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to this overview of the ESS BIZTOOLS product package. Thank you for your interest in having a look at our products. ESS BIZTOOLS has been developed by me based on my experience as a partner in a accountancy firm. But prior to that, I'd been the Chief Financial Officer and Company Secretary of a listed public company. And I learned a lot in that role as to how big business operates. And I found that they operate a series of small businesses, but for each area, they put in place an area manager, or in some cases a director, and a small accounting team, so that information can be supplied to those businesses operating in that area as to their actual results. The other key thing is they prepare financial accounts on each individual business activity. They don't lump it all together in one profit and loss account, only at the end of the financial year. And they calculate key performance indicators on each business activity so that the local area manager is able to communicate with the manager of individual operations and their team on their actual performance. Compare this to the average small business client who battles away on their own, and at this stage, most accountants rarely talk to those SME clients more than a couple of times per annum. And when they do, it's basically to talk about taxation matters. I think this is one of the biggest challenges facing accountants as we really get underway in 2021. How are you going to assist those clients to have the same sort of support that they would have if they were working in a bigger business, where there would have been an area manager, like a director, who can assist them, and an accountant who's going to analyze and interpret their results. So that's really what ESS BIZTOOLS is all about, is trying to give you the tools as an accountant or business advisor to be able to deliver that sort of information and advice to your clients. I now want to share the ESS BIZTOOLS screen with you so that you can see the overall packages which we've got, and I'm just going to highlight the video panel. And on the left hand side you have the details of the product packages that are contained in ESS BIZTOOLS. There's about 23 of them. We are continually evolving and developing new material, updating other material, and changing some around as to where they're actually located in our system. So we have budgets and cash flow forecasts, which incorporates charge out rates calculator, professional fees calculator, and the retail price calculator and analysis. We have a training package to assist in training your team. We have a business evaluation, business funding for SMEs, business health checks. So business funding for SMEs is considering crowdsource funding, equity raising, early stage innovation companies. Great initiatives by the federal government 3 years ago to enable private companies to have greater flexibility to be able to raise capital direct from the public. Up to that, we've only had Section 708 of the Corporations Act, which for 35 years has been great, but it had some restrictions. Only $2 million could be raised from 20 investors in a 12-month period. And of course, you've got the 50 shareholder limit that caused some issues. The Business Plus newsletter, I'm going to show you that in a moment. We have buying a business, cash flow management, crowdsource funding, equity raising that I just referred to. We've got a full Chief Financial Officer services package. We've got debtors management training. the early stage innovation company, which is great for a young company under 3 years of age that has developed a new product, process, or service that needs to raise capital to be able to commercialize those research activities that they've undertaken. We have leadership models, which have been written by a separate consultant who was formerly a colonel in the Australian Army, and he's used his experience to write this manual specifically for accountants to use with your small, medium enterprise clients. We have the Premier product package, which includes a number of our packages, which is a special promotion. Research and development is our new major product package, which we're releasing in February. Selling a business, the SME debtor systems manual training, which will assist you to be able to train your client's team in how to effectively operate the debtor system. Survival in difficult times is a series of packages. There's 40 questionnaires which examine all aspects of the business, from the gross profit calculations, overhead expenses, dealing with the banks, debtors management, cash flow management, and many other issues, with a series of questions and suggested additional information to assist you to be able to have these communications with your client. Mentoring sessions, they're your added products. You can subscribe to ESS BizTools in the Gold package, which includes everything that we have, including access to our grants finding package, ESS Biz Grants, which you can visit and undertake a 2-week trial for one company to see how it goes, and so you can get an idea. Just go to www.essbizgrants.com.au to access it. The Silver package includes everything that's in the Gold package, excluding the access to the ESS Biz Grants package. But I should have also mentioned, in the Gold package, a Gold subscriber has got the right to be able to download our various papers, badge them with your firm name, and upload them to their website. And you can make them available to your clients and prospects who you have given access through a security code to be able to access that information on your website. And then we have the Bronze package, which is about 30% of the overall content that's in the Gold package, but doesn't include access to the grants, ESS Biz Grants, nor does it allow you to upload any of the papers onto your website. Then we have a number of other packages that are built around smaller components to help people wanting to start offering specific services, such as Chief Financial Officer Services package, Survival in Difficult Times package, and the Research and Development package, and a couple of others, the Premier product package. So that's an overview. I'm just going to show you now the Business Plus newsletter, so that you can have a look at it. We produce this every month, and it's a newsletter which we produce for you to rebadge and send to your clients. And you can't see that, that's on my screen. I'm just going to move it over onto the screen you're watching. And here's the Business Plus newsletter for February 2021. You remove the ESS BizTools badging and replace it with your own. It's a newsletter ready to go to your clients. In lots of ways, every article has a call to action, trying to encourage your clients, if they've got a question about a particular issue, to contact you. So we've got comments in this month on business review meetings. And at the end, in the final paragraph, we're saying, if you want to have a discussion with us about the concept of organising a business review meeting for your firm, please contact us. The Export Market Development Grant, where we summarise the key expense categories that grant will reimburse expenditure that's been incurred by a business. This particular grant is controlled by Austrade, and there's $150,000 maximum payout to a business. And incidentally, the applicant doesn't have to be a company. Any type of entity, a sole trader, a partnership, a trust, or a company can apply. The Research and Development Registration. This is a reminder relative to expenditure in 2019-20 that you have to have lodged their research and development application with Oz Industry by the 30th of April in respect of expenditure in the year ended 30th of June 2020. There's a bit of work to be done in that aspect, so you need to get underway pretty soon. What causes shrinkage? Shrinkage is a huge problem for many of our clients, but I rarely see it mentioned in the financial accounts, calculating what the shrinkage was. So what is shrinkage? It's the difference between the expected selling price of a product or a range of products and what you actually receive for it. And then we've tried to analyze some of the causes of shrinkage. And shrinkage can be quite a considerable amount of money, 4 or 5% of a company's turnover. Waste management, another key management challenge. And again, if you don't measure it, you won't be able to manage it. It's an old saying, but it's right. You need to measure what the effect of waste is within the business. And waste covers a number of activities, as you can see from that article. Overproduction, waiting, delays, transport, extra processing because you didn't have all the correct raw materials or materials available, or equipment. Inventory, there's been too much purchased or produced, and some of it's going to have to be thrown out. Unnecessary motion, a tradie having to walk all around a workshop trying to find tools when they should have all been within arm reach of where his workstation was. And defects. Scaling up needs to be planned. In 2021, a lot of your clients, I suspect, are going to be talking to you about trying to grow, because some of them didn't grow much in 2020, although I know some did. So what are you going to work with them as they start thinking about how they might grow their business or scale it up? One of the important matters, obviously, you have to talk to them about is just because they sell more doesn't mean they're going to have more cash in the bank. And a lot of business people don't quite understand that at first, because obviously there's going to be money tied up in inventory, in debtors, in perhaps new fixtures and fittings, or workshops or offices. And that is all a drag on cash flow. And what we're suggesting in that article, that if someone wants to scale up, they've got to start with their people first of all. One group's the leaders, the second group's the team. They need to be trained, motivated, communicated with, and feel part of the organization. Then we need a differentiated strategy. What makes this particular business different, better, more competent than its competitors? And then there needs to be a concerted effort around all the business to execute that strategy, to implement it. Anyone can sit down and write volume after volume of manuals to say this is what we're going to do, but the rubber hits the road when you start trying to implement those strategies. So do they need your assistance to do that? and having plenty of cash to fund those extra debtors, that inventory, that new workshop, that research and development program, that applying for a patent or whatever is happening within this business. And where's that money going to come from? If you're going to go and talk to the bank with the client, where's the security? Is the security readily available? Or should your client be thinking about other ways of raising capital? And this is where I think you have got a vital role, because these days we've got opportunities to be able to raise capital direct from the public. Crowdsource funding, equity raising, a private company can raise up to $5 million in a 12-month period. And with our systems, you can help your clients do that. Or if they're a young company under 3 years of age, turnover under $200,000, expenditure under $1 million in the previous 12 months, and they have invented a new product, process or service, marketing or management methodology, they could be eligible for the status of an early stage innovation company, which will considerably assist them in raising capital, because they are then able to, in fact, pass on to their investors a significant tax break, 20% tax rebate based on the investment that the investors have made. There are sub-limits for retail investors, and there is an upper limit for a sophisticated investor. And if those investors hold those shares for longer than 12 months and less than 10 years, those investors avoid capital gains tax when they ultimately sell those shares. And hopefully they're going to sell them at a significant gain. So that could be a great advantage. So that's some of the things to think about when we look at scaling up. Director's role in a modern sized business. That's only part one. We'll be running that for about 5 months in these various editions. Board of advice, giving your clients some overview of how a board of advice operates. So hopefully that's the sort of material which will help you. We also have an article on the Personal Property Securities Register. I don't like this legislation, but it's there. And it doesn't really matter whether I like it or you don't like it, it's there. And the real problem is one of your clients could go broke because of ignorance of this legislation, because they haven't registered assets they own which are not totally in their possession. They're stored in someone else's workshop. They're consignment stock to someone else. There's a whole range of issues. We've got a full package on Personal Property Securities Register to help you to be able to help your clients stay afloat. You would have a real sinking feeling in your stomach, wouldn't you, if someone walked into you and said they had $1 million worth of assets, or $100,000 worth of assets, or even $20,000 worth of assets at someone else's premises. And a liquidator got appointed 2 days ago, and the liquidator is now demanding that they have possession of those assets. Not a very nice thought. It's happened. In my reckoning, over $450 million has been lost by Australian businesses since this legislation started. And the biggest single loss that I can ascertain was over $60 million for a subsidiary of General Electric, one of the world's top 100 business groups. So if they can make a mistake and not register an asset that they had placed onto some land in Western Australia on a mining site, then it can happen to any of your clients. So please have a good look at the Personal Property Securities Register. Now, each of the products and services that I've referred to in that newsletter, ESS BizTools has material, has articles, and in most cases has product packages to assist you as an accountant to be able to offer these services to your clients. We also have at the end, attention accountants. remove that before you send it to your clients. It's just a bit of a reference to some articles that you might like to read, called a reference library if you like, to give you a bit more information on something which we have written about within that particular newsletter. So that if a client rings you and says, I want to talk to you about export market development grant, because we've got something in that article, you have already had some forewarning, and hopefully you've read our paper on export market development grant that we've referred to there, paper 014-030, and you're able to come across as an expert to your client. That's what it's all about. So that's a brief summary of what's included in the process of Members Alert. We upload this material to our website on the second Friday of a month at 12 noon AEST. You are then welcome to download it, rebadge it, and send it to your clients and prospects. And I just want to finish with our training package. The training package is included in the subscription for gold, silver, bronze, of course, but it's also included for all of those other special packages that I was referring to. You get a video which takes you through the process, and then we have a list of the material that's included. So it starts off at the introduction. Our suggestion is that this will take about 1 hour for each of these modules. There's 13 of them. You can space it out and do 1 hour a week, so it's going to take you 13 weeks. I've had some firms that have done it all in a couple of days. I don't really recommend that. Do please yourself. It familiarizes your team with a whole range of matters that in some cases are new, especially when it's compared to taxation matters, that you can go on to and have a look. So if we download one of these, there's a procedure control form. Which we have in each of our product packages to guide you through it. So you put your own firm name on. And this is a step-by-step process of saying, this is where we think you should start. This is what your people should be reading if they want to do a Reader's Digest type overview to start with as to what business advisory services is all about. You can link to these papers and BAS forms, Business Advisory Services form, not that other BAS. And there's a whole range of material there that you can read so you get a better understanding of what all this is about. And in particular, any of your younger accountants, so they get a full appreciation. There's a fair bit of material there. There's some partner evaluation forms and team member evaluation forms, which we suggest you use to get their feedback as to the type of services they might like to utilize. And the last item I want to refer to in this overview briefing is the SME needs analysis. I think this is one of the most important forms that are included in the ESS BIZTOOLS package. It was based on research originally undertaken by Andrew Geddes when he was at the Financial Management Research Center at the University of New England in Armidale. So it's a form that you could hand to a client. Now this is a business client, obviously, and I like the idea of handing it to the client and getting the answers back. But you could sit there and talk to the client about this if you wanted to, but I think you should be encouraging your client to really think about it. Treat your client with the dignity of being the CEO of his business. And having worked with CEOs in my public company career, I know they do a lot of reading and a lot of thinking and turn up each morning with a briefcase full of stuff that they've been looking at the night before. I think that's where they might like to go through this process. They might like to have a glass of scotch alongside them, or maybe a nice wine, as they sit back and to a certain extent relax and do a bit of thinking, rather than having the day-to-day pressures raging all around them while they're doing this. So what we want them to think about is, what else do they need? Are they happy with the information they're getting on their financial accounts? I've had people come back to me and say, tell me what benchmarking's all about. So that means they don't know, of course. What about ratio analysis? Are they happy with their debtors management? Do they know what their debtors days outstanding is? I've also had people fill this in and ask me, how do you calculate it? Are they going on cash flow management, budgets? Do they want some basic marketing advice? What about human resources, Fair Work Australia, workplace health and safety issues? We have an association with Blackstone Business Group, and I'd be quite happy for you to refer people to them, to your clients. But act as the project manager. Make contact with them. Customers, have they got a CRM? Do they know how it works? Do they need some assistance on that? Do they want some feedback on what their competitors are up to? My experience is that some business operators don't really want to do that, but they're quite happy to have you do it, and you get paid for it, and review it every 3 to 6 months. Analyze what their competitors are doing. They can learn things. You can copy what your competitors are doing unless it's a patent or copyrighted. Do they need some business modeling done? Change the number of customers, average sale, frequency of visits, gross profit percentage. Corporate governance, they're in companies, they're growing. They're thinking about going to the public to raise capital. They know they've got very little experience in how companies operate. Well, we've got material within the system on corporate governance to help them overcome those fears, that embarrassment. Or they can go and undertake the Institute of Company Directors Diploma course, of course. But that's a week out of their lives in a capital city, and it costs a fair bit of money. About $8,500, I believe, from memory. Government grants. Are they sick of sitting in the club or pub and hearing one of their competitors bragging that they just got a government grant? Do they need your assistance to get that grant? Most of them do. They don't know where to start on them. But they'll be very appreciative if you can get them a government grant. What about the Personal Property Securities Register? I've already commented about this. I don't like the legislation. Businesses can get in all sorts of strife through ignorance. Research and development. You need to be communicating to the client that they have to be a company if they're going to claim the special rebate. I had some people some years ago who I came across when I was acting as a consultant for Oz Industry in the COMET program, Commercialising Emerging Technology, which all basically required people to have undertaken research and development. I had one situation where the client had spent over $220,000 on research and development and thought he was going to be able to get the rebate, but he'd done it all as a sole trader. No one had told him he had to be a company. So clients need to be reminded about these things. So it's part of the ongoing communication, trying to find out what your clients are doing. And are they exporting? And if they are, can they claim the Export Market Development Grant? Have they spent more than $15,000 in the 12-month period on marketing to overseas? Management of costs, risks. What risks have they got? Well, we've all got risks, but what ones are keeping them awake at night? They need to raise some capital. they need to update their business plan, get you to do that. Then we go into taxation planning. Then we go into future planning. Now, if you gave that sort of form to a client, one of your A-class clients, what sort of response do you think you're going to get? And how much work do you think you're going to get? Because be warned, in most cases, you will get work out of that document. And you then need to be geared up to be able to supply those services. So thank you very much for joining me for this brief overview of ESS BIZTOOLS products and services. If you want more information, please contact me. You can send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au, or give me a phone call. And that phone number has just gone out of my head, but 0747241118. Thank you very much for your interest in ESS BIZTOOLS. We are keen to be able to answer any questions you've got, and we would look forward to welcoming you as a subscriber to ESS BIZTOOLS. Have a great day. Goodbye. And I hope you've enjoyed that overview of some of the services that ESS BIZTOOLS can assist you to be able to supply to your clients. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Goodbye.